This Remembrance Day, in addition to wearing a poppy and laying a wreath, you might want to keep your eyes to the skies. A local pilot who restored an old warplane will be doing a flyby over the November 11th ceremonies in Stirling, Raymond, Coaldale, and Lethbridge, Alberta. I went out to see the refurbished plane for myself and to talk to its owner. It never saw any action overseas, but this little bird was nicknamed the Pilot Maker. That's because in its heyday, this Harvard Mark IV was one of the aircraft that trained Canadian fighter pilots, so you could say it still did its part to help fight for world freedom. And this Remembrance Day, it will do its part to remind us all of those who were lost.
So I like to do it just as a tribute to everyone that served in the military. It's a privilege to be a custodian of these airplanes.
Its owner, Jeffrey Brain, purchased the plane several years ago and rebuilt it himself.
Well, I've always been an advocate of I love old airplanes. I love the history, particularly warbirds. We heard about this one. It was in a hangar in Tisdale, Saskatchewan. Been abandoned for 25 years. So we took it apart, trucked it home to Lethbridge, spent about a year with some good friends and a good maintenance department here in Lethbridge, QL Aviation, and we restored it back to the way it was when it was retired in 1966.
You may have seen Brain and his Harvard over the southern Alberta skies. The past 4 Remembrance Days, it's done a flypast over the cenotaph during the November 11th ceremony. And this year is no exception.
We'll do Lethbridge, Stirling, Raymond, and Coaldale. We started doing it when we restored the airplane 4 years ago, and I was surprised. We flew it the first year, I think 2021, and the number of phone calls I got after we flew the Remembrance Day and people approaching us just how much it meant, because they had someone, some family member either flying the airplane or had worked on the airplane, an uncle. And so I realized it was significant for people to see a bit of history and a bit of a connection to family members.
His co-pilot this year is former Canadian snowbird and retired Captain David Deere, who served for 17 years flying fighter jets. He and Brian, together with the Hornet, will leave a contail in remembrance of those we should not forget. For Bridge City News, I'm Jeannette Rocher.